Hey guys, my name is Chloe and I'm a private pilot. Today I want to tell you the best piece of advice that I should have listened to back when I started my private pilot training, and that's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of mental anguish. And that is to chair fly. What is chair flying? Chair flying is you sitting at home where it's safe and free, and going through all the procedures of taking off, flying, and landing the airplane right there in your own house. Doing so with the checklist, doing so with the navigating and communicating part, not just aviating. You aviate, navigate, and communicate in your chair at home. And then, when you are in the plane next time with your instructor, being able to really make the most out of your time in the sky with him or her. The reason chair flying has this effect is, especially I'm talking about primary students. I'm going through my instrument training right now, so I'm only talking as a private pilot, no instrument rating. That's where my perspective is coming from. When you're really new and you're trying to wrap your head around flying a plane, things seem to be going by very fast. This is my experience, right? I'm watching my instructor, his name was Dusty. I'm watching Dusty do all these things, and I'm like, how is he doing this? How is he doing that? And then before I could even open my mouth to ask, how are you doing this or that, he's going on to the next thing. And it would be such a cognitive overload for me. And I would sometimes drive home crying from my lessons, like, how will I ever absorb all this stuff? How will I ever do it? And people would tell me chair fly. And I'm like, what's the use in that? I'm not feeling the same stress and pressure as when I'm in the air. Well, that's exactly why. That's exactly why you need to chair fly, is because you don't feel that same stress and pressure. And you can slow time down, and you can investigate why you're doing certain things. This is just for someone that really needs to know why they're doing the things they're doing, in order to be more efficient at them. Like, I had come from a background of no aviation. I came to aviation at age 34. I had no background at all. Nobody in my family was a pilot, and nothing, right? So simple things like leaning out the mixture, that was like a completely abstract term, an idea for me. I didn't know what the hell that meant, but my instructor told me to do it, and when I would chair fly and I would look up things like leaning the mixture out or trimming the airplane, right? Just basic things. And I would be like, oh, that's why you do that. Oh, this is why you do that. And then the next time I would go in the plane, I would just do it because I knew why. See, when I didn't know why, I would be afraid to do things. And then the fear would slow me down. Because I didn't know what button I would push or lever I would pull that could ruin us, right? And it sounds a little silly and crazy to me now, but no, there is definitely rationale. You're very new. And you see a lot of buttons and stuff and levers, and you don't know, man, shit, if I pulled that, what would happen? And sure, yeah, if you pull the mixture to full lean at any time, pretty much, I guess if you're at the highest, maybe at the surface ceiling, maybe that would be okay. That's going to be a problem. And I would constantly wonder, what's going to be a problem if I touch and accidentally this and that? Well, when you sit and you chair fly and you have the opportunity to look things up, and every minute isn't costing you a small fortune, you really, really can start to understand what is required of you to fly the aircraft. And that completely changes everything. I also want to recommend getting a poster of the cockpit of the aircraft that you fly. I have a PA-28 Warrior poster. That helped a lot. It doesn't have a 430 on it. It's never going to be exactly the aircraft that you fly, but it'll be very close. It helps your brain to see the gauges regularly and get yourself in the cockpit, fully in your days, so that by the time you are in the plane, it's not some foreign and abstract thing, that you're suddenly tasked with. Chair flying also really, if you are also visualizing yourself as you're chair flying, going through, let's say, the traffic pattern. What that does is, when you're very new, especially if you're pre-solo, when you go to first solo, it makes you less less emotional and more just simply robotic and reasonable about flying versus like, oh my God, I'm flying an airplane, or this is really cool that I'm flying an airplane. You don't want to think it's really cool and that it's really strange and weird when you're doing it, especially the first several times. You don't want to think about that at all. As a matter of fact, the worst thing to think is, oh my God, I'm flying an airplane, the first many times at least. You want to just be thinking about my next checklist, climb checklist, powerful power, mixture full rich, instruments in the green, taxi landing light off, flight plan open, fuel pump off. All the things that you need to do is what you need to think about when you're flying. And that's what chair flying helps you do, because you're going over it over and over and over and over. And where you feel the good effects of chair flying is when you are soloing the first time or the first many times. And in fact, it's very hard to get to a place. Well, for me, I'll just talk for myself. It was hard for me to get to a place of first soloing without chair flying. I had gotten to 25 hours before I thought to myself, wow, I really need some kind of intervention right now, because I have 25 hours. I was able to afford going once a week back then, and I couldn't, or like twice a week, and I still could not for the life of me envision myself flying alone, because it was all still too abstract. And when I got my head in the cockpit at home, I brought my checklist out and I did the awkward thing of talking on the quote unquote comms in my house by myself. By the time I hit my first solo, I was like a robot. I took off, flew, and landed like it was not like, because it was so, I had made it so much a part of my mental environment that when it became my actual environment, it wasn't so weird anymore. That's what chair flying will do and will help you with. So definitely chair fly as much as you can. If you're in a warrior, you pick those flaps up down from the floor there where they're at manually. You do all the things, and your muscles will remember all those things when you go to fly by yourself or with your instructor, and he or she is going to go, okay, wow, this person is really like, they're getting a handle on it. And you best believe your instructor chair flew a lot. You best believe they did. And if they didn't, and they were just like naturally good, or that, good for them. But I think most of us do benefit from the use of the imagination. The free, always constantly available use of the imagination. You cannot go wrong with chair flying. Dedicate yourself. Make it like, if you go to the gym, think of it like the gym. You give 45 minutes or whatever of your life every day or this many days a week to the gym to train your muscles. You do the same with your brain as a mental muscle for your flying, and you'll benefit from it greatly. All right, guys, take care.